We're going to go ahead and hit that old record button, and then I have to pull up the song. And... Woo! All right, so we're going to leave that woo in there and pretend like I definitely didn't just make a tremendous error. Josh, that was one hit piano, wasn't it?
Woo! Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I'm one of your lovely hostesses, the Garlic Johnson. I'm joined by our other lovely hostesses, the Joshua Mitchell. Say hi to the folks.
Hi, folks.
Josh, very good job. We have an email you can reach out to the show with if you like. That was a sentence. We are hiddenoaksoverdose@gmail.com. You can also find our glorious Facebook page at facebook.com/hoodpod. You'll find me post there from time to time. And Josh make comments about milk duds more often than not. If you don't want to listen to the whole podcast beginning to end, kind of understandable. If you want to find just certain segments, you can find all these segment start times down in the description below if you want to jump around. And thank you to Levi Oki, our lovely illustrator who has provided us the beautiful art you can currently see on your mobile device or computer screen or smart fridge. Do you think anyone who would listen to this smart podcast has a smart fridge?
No.
Well, someday, Josh. That's the goal of this podcast, is to be played via smart fridge. I mentioned this to Josh right before the show. We didn't get to this segment last time. Oh, that was a crisp pop. That was our sponsor tonight, the Strawberry Arnold Palmer. How you doing, Josh?
Oh, not bad. Sitting here undefeated in everything I do, except fantasy football.
Ooh.
Yeah. No. Packers won on Thursday. I know. Haven't necessarily talked since then.
Oh, really?
But they definitely won. And while it was definitely an offensive battle for the ages, meaning it was offensive to everyone who watched.
Correct.
The Packers came away with a victory, and I came away with some hot takes on the defense.
Some hot takes on the defense. We'll get to hot takes in just a second. There is a bit of an elephant in the room we have to address, Josh. I've heard that Josh, another podcast has entered the chat. And I just don't know how I feel about that, because we had the Walters, who essentially broke off at this point. He broke off of the victorious POD, right? We declared ourselves the winner of the podcast battle, mainly because Walters went to a reduced schedule because he's getting married. Fucking loser. And then he's doing a reduced schedule, and he rebranded to the Land of 10,000 Pods, I believe. And then out of fucking nowhere, Alex Williams does a Brett Favre, comes out of retirement, and is now doing a podcast with Dave. What's his last name? Sausen.
Asian Dave.
I didn't want to profile him like that, Josh, for our viewers. But yeah, so we won the podcast wars, but now we got these fuckers trying to come in, and are they trying to dethrone us, Josh, after we just won?
No, I don't think so. I think they're just trying to get close enough to touch our dicks.
Good luck finding it.
No, I definitely heard about that, and Walter's title is kind of a funny title, Land of 10,000 Pods. He probably won't even hit 10. Unless he sits there and he podcasts by himself. Alex and Dave, their football acumen is nowhere near ours.
That's saying something because ours is a rock bottom.
Exactly.
Yikes.
They talked about it a little bit. They were both at softball last night.
I've listened to both podcasts. I didn't know that it existed until Alex Williams sent me the link today, but I knew I had to do my homework immediately. So
Fun fact, they both are produced in the same house. They're both recorded in the same place.
I did know that. I did
Okay.
know that. Alex still records for Walters, which I think is interesting, and I think my mic's getting a little too loud, so I'm going to tone myself down. But so yeah, so that's an interesting take. I don't want to beat this to death. I shouldn't even be talking about them. Shouldn't even be giving them attention. This is kind of defeating the purpose of winning the war. But in their first pod, they had an unintentional 5-minute segment on the real name of Kaimi Fairbairn, and it was potentially between the three pods the funniest segment of all three pods ever. So I thought that was
interesting.
I'll give them that shout out. But so yeah. We'll move right into hot takes. We are at the 5-minute and 45-second marker approximately. Josh, do you want to go first with your hot take of the week, or would you like me to go first?
Well, I guess, should we review last week's hot takes? Because I forgot what mine was, and I was hoping you remembered.
I mean, no, the gist of the hot takes is just to review them all in one big swoop. It's actually better if you forget your hot takes from week to week, I think.
Well, consider me perfect. My hot take for this week, and I see you didn't add one to this, and I only did because I would have forgotten my own hot take.
That's what I was worried about. I'm glad.
But I am going to say Baltimore repeats their beatdown and beats Arizona by 20-plus points this week.
Ooh, you really think so, huh?
I think Baltimore's defense is going to contain Kyler Murray. I think David Johnson's going to have some flashes of brilliance, like he can.
Sure.
But I think in the end, Baltimore's going to win 35-14.
That's
20 plus, right?
Yes. So that was 21 plus exactly. So I appreciate that take. That's a nice hot take. So Josh, you can feel free to give me this heat of this take, because it might be controversial just in the fact that some people might not consider it the hottest of takes. But obviously after losing Andrew Luck, I would think most well-versed football fans are like, all right, that pretty much does it for the Colts this year, right? Would you think that's fair to say?
Yeah.
Then my hot take is, after seeing the heart and the dedication of that Indianapolis team that lost to the Chargers in overtime last week, the Indianapolis Colts will be in the playoffs this year, in the NFL playoffs. That's my hot take for the week. That's it.
I think that is a preheated oven hot take. So it's
fully preheated, so it's a hot oven.
It's a hot oven take.
What are we baking here? Am I doing like a DiGiorno, like a 375?
No, you're doing
keeping a little...
You're doing a 375 DiGiorno. What are you doing? Trying to just have bread dough? You gotta crank that up to 400 if you want crisp.
I'm crisp. Who wants a super crisp pizza?
You don't want super crispy. You just want
thin
some
crust,
crisp.
You fucking idiot. God.
Yeah, you get thick crust. You put it in at 400 for 20 minutes, and then you put on the broil for a solid 3 minutes. Yeah, Gar, I'll change your life with pizza.
I'd prefer you didn't.
But no, we're making a Josh Mitchell ham and cheese sandwich. So you put it in at 370 and just say, it's a hot take. I think their defense and their run game can kind of take it. That division, I'm trying to think who's in that division. Houston,
Tennessee.
Can
you get the last one?
Oh God, I should. Miami. No, it's Jacksonville.
Nailed it.
I think that division is kind of a crapshoot, because even though I love Deshaun Watson and they have the talent on that team, they traded away everything. Their defense is not as good as it was. So I think that if they enter the playoffs, I'm going to add to your hot take. If they enter the playoffs, it's going to be as the division winner.
Whoa.
Not a wild card, but division winner. That's the only way they get in.
Well, Josh, I'd love to agree with you, but everyone knows Miami's going to win the AFC South, just like you said moments ago. So we'll leave that as the hot takes for now. Josh, we got NFL news at the 9:15 minute marker.
Yeah, so we're falling behind because we like talking. I guess this time did a little bit different last season on Hidden Oaks Overdose. I'd love to pause there so you could insert some highlights if you put together a highlight tape from last season.
No.
Oh.
There were no highlights last season. I'll start by saying that.
Okay. So, yeah. So I'd love to pause for that no highlight then.
Perfect.
we did the whole NFL news, pulled things up, but I didn't feel like reading 8 headlines on Antonio Brown. So,
God, dude, what a fucking...
so we're gonna do something a little different this time. Just injuries throughout the week that I, consider fantasy relevant. Tyreek, he went down. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Foles, he's on IR. Tevin Coleman's out. He's, I think, week to week. Same with Funchess. Mike Williams, I think, is week to week, or is he day to day now? You would know because you're.
I don't know.
Okay. Darius Geis, he's already declared out. Hunter Henry, we found out, broke his fibia. And the Dolphins' morale. I feel like that got injured this week.
Yeah.
The Dolphins players called their agents immediately after that game, saying the coaching staff was giving up on the season after 1 week. Apparently, it's just it's not a good environment to be in right now, apparently. They're in Miami, so, they can just go to the beach. That's cool. And clubs. Then my last note is AB. Do we even need to talk about him? And I got to thinking, let's just say after the trade to Oakland, so before any of this, putting on a completely non-biased view, who do you think, if you go back in time, who do you think you would have been reading more off-field issues about? Antonio Brown or Josh Gordon? I would have thought Josh Gordon.
I guess you would hope to not read about either of them, right? But if I had to pick one, it probably would have been Josh Gordon, yeah.
Yeah, if you think, if you're putting on a non-biased view.
Just based on history. Like, if you were to take recent history, like AB's last year in Pittsburgh was awful. But Josh Gordon has a longer history of being okay for a bit and then just fucking up out of nowhere. And then,
Right. I would say that at this point in time, AB is the most dysfunctional wide receiver on the Patriots roster.
Oofta. Yeah.
And that includes Josh Gordon.
It's true.
But overall, I don't want to spend too much time on it. We don't know enough to go into deep speculation on this rape accusations. So innocent until proven guilty. Text messages are damning, but overall, we don't know, and neither do the Patriots. Apparently, he practiced today.
No, yeah. The only other worthy thing to mention there is that while these allegations are rough, the lawsuit this is a civil lawsuit, so essentially. They're just looking for money in this lawsuit. There's no criminal charges being pressed. The NFL can still do whatever the hell they want. They can suspend them, ban them, whatever. So there's no criminal charges being pressed. It's not like AB's going to end up in jail unless he goes bankrupt or something and can't. He goes the OJ route and just starts armed robbing places to pay for this. But yeah, innocent until proven guilty, I think. But it doesn't look great. But who fucking knows?
Right, and I did notice, and we're spending more time than I wanted to talking on this, but
moving on. I'm just kidding.
I did notice, I did see something that the details of his contract say that if he were to come down, or if he were to have part in any sort of act detrimental to the team's image,
it was really weird wording in my mind.
It was different wording, but it sounds like if the Patriots decide to, they could void his guarantees, and that's what caused him to freak out in Oakland.
Be the second time in a week.
So he's going for records. So do you think that, now hypothetical here, if he gets his contract voided, his guarantees voided for this contract, will he throw as much of a hissy fit in New England as he did in Oakland? Or will he look at Tom Brady's 4 unringed fingers and go, I want to look like that?
Just voiding the guarantees, all that means is instead of having guaranteed money, he could still make money game to game. He would just have to be playing, obviously. So you would think that he realizes this is probably his last chance. I don't know who else was going to pick him up. Maybe some team that's real desperate, but Antonio Brown seems smarter than that. Like, I think we're not even going to talk about it here, but it seems like Antonio Brown getting to New England was intentional after all.
Right.
Where that intention started, who knows? But I agree. We should probably move on from AB. We have probably talked about him more than we wanted to or more than we need to.
Week 1 Homer results.
There we go.
Vikings game. I had one note after that. I watched it. I guess Dalvin Cook is okay.
When healthy. I'll give you that asterisk right away.
No. And that is, that goes for a lot of the players that we talk about, but...
Wait, the players that are on the field playing?
Yeah, they're pretty good at things when they're healthy. But Dalvin, I will say, on Sunday, he looked explosive through that line. He had holes to run through, but he looked explosive, which is, non-biased, anti-Minnesota Vikings aside, that is what you want to see in a running back. And if he can continue to run like that, I don't know if your stud for the year, him being the top fantasy running back is going to be true, but he could have a monster season for the Vikings if he stays healthy.
He sure could. And, I'm assuming that's going to at least wrap up your initial thoughts on the game. Not to be overly a homer, but I just want to share like my genuine experience watching that game. So it's noon, just sitting in the old recliner, doing the Dustin thing down in the domain. The game kicks off, and so Atlanta gets the ball first. I think we force them 3 and out right away. So I'm like, all right, here comes the punt. Let's see what the Vikings can do. And then so the Vikings block the punt, and I was like, all right, I see you. And then right after that, maybe 3-4 plays later, the Vikings are in the end zone. And I was genuinely like, I'm going to get away from the mic here, but I was genuinely just like sitting back in my recliner like, shit. Like that was an incredible start to the season. Obviously, I'm not going to say we're in the Super Bowl, we're going to finish like that, but it was almost like a out-of-body experience for me just seeing the Vikings start the game that well. Obviously, we finished the game well. Kirk Cousins only ended up throwing the rock 10 times. We won 28-12, and the 12 definitely came in garbage time. If I were to try and take an objective view, my only concern for the team so far is that Atlanta is not a crazy good team. So while we were able to slow them down on offense and kind of have our will with them on offense, and our defense slowed down their offense. I would just be concerned that the Vikings too much want to be a one-trick pony and succeeding rapidly with the run. And then when the run doesn't work, the pass doesn't work. And then we're just kind of sitting with our dick in our hands going, well, shit. So maybe the Packers will be the first test of this, because the Packers defense, playing the Bears team that I've been calling for a while now that's going to be garbage this year, looked great. Trubisky did nothing. The whole team really did nothing. So we'll see. I was very happy as a Vikings fan with that Atlanta performance. But I'm certainly going to say pump the brakes. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. These are the Minnesota Vikings after all. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I can agree with your takes. Obviously, I was watching from a different perspective because I'm not a Vikings fan. No. I mean, I give the Falcons a little bit more credit than most, I guess, because they were in the Super Bowl a couple years back, and they do have the majority of the same players. Different coaching staff, though, so you got to take that into account. Their defense struggled. They did not know how to stop the run, as Delvin and even Madison showed. Their offense was atrocious as well. There was that interception in the end zone that was just a pass that even I wouldn't have thought to make as a quarterback. It was bad. I believe that led to points for the Vikings. So that, take that back. It's a little bit different game, but you can't take that back. So it was Vikings played good. Definitely going to be a good game this week in Lambeau. So hopefully it's more than 3-10. And but if it is 3-10, it just means that both defenses are stout.
All right.
Going on to the Packers game, I have one more note for this game than I did for the Vikings. Offense was stale for both teams. You could definitely see that. I think you're the one that texted me, like 48 of the players didn't even play in the preseason. I don't know if it was an actual stat or just an exaggerated number, but it feels real.
No, I think I said I think I said 44. So just like both starters for both, like both sets of starters for both teams.
And I know that some of the starters played in some of the games for the Packers.
It was certainly an exaggeration.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could definitely tell Rodgers' throws were off. He was not elite, as you might say. But in the end,
would you say top 5 quarterback?
I would say. No, not yet. Not in the week one, but in the grand scheme of things, I feel like he could turn it around. Definitely when he got into the rhythm of things and he took over, that was the touchdown drive that they had. Once you get into a rhythm, it'll be fine. He didn't turn the ball over. He made some bad passes, but they weren't silly, stupid bad passes like the Matt Ryan interception. They were bad passes like getting it out quick, and it was just out of the wide receiver's reach, or he wasn't on the same page. And I feel like that can be corrected with more games and more practice, getting kind of a rhythm down with this offense. But overall, the defense was a real story for both teams. I feel like both defenses showed up, and they were either a product of poor offense or a real deal. And so this week is going to be the test for both of them.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I wanted to add there, and I almost interrupted you, but obviously I'll let you finish. The second quarter, Aaron Rodgers, which is when they had that touchdown drive, that guy was hitting like that was 2010, 2011 Rodgers. He was hitting on all his passes. He was looking hot. And then I was just going to say, to your credit, I agree that Rodgers is notoriously never one to give away the ball. He's not reckless with the ball. If he's missing to the outside, the inside, wherever the defender's not. So that is a good thing on Rodgers. He does not tend to turn the ball over, at least through the air like that. So,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any, or what's?
I guess the last thing that I have to add is they both. So one of the things that I've never seen him do with McCarthy ever is take accountability for mistakes. And one of the first things he said after the game was, I made some bad throws. So he took accountability for it. He wasn't pointing fingers like he has in the past. And I'll admit that he points fingers at the other team, or not at the other team, at other players more than most people should, especially if they want to be a good leader. So he took accountability, which was nice. And even LaFleur,
cramming up your cram hole, LaFleur.
I was waiting for you to say it.
I need to get that sound clip.
Even he took some accountability, but both of them were pretty excited about the defense and how they performed. And as a Packer fan, as was I. What about other games, Gar? Did you watch anything else?
So I did see, I'm going to write, you have it as your own segment. I think that's a good call. So I'm just writing down the start time as we start the week 1 watchable moments, I believe you put it down as. So, I felt blessed that the Chargers game was just on TV, so I didn't have to stream it or anything. So Chargers-Colts was the 3 o'clock game. I watched that. Really enjoyed it just because I'm a Chargers fan. I like to see them win. It ended up being a good game. Like, I think the first quarter looked like it was going to be pretty lopsided, as, people might expect. Colts have Brissett, and that's just the way it goes. But it was actually a much better game than I think people think. It went to overtime, and the Chargers got the ball first in overtime and went down and scored a touchdown. So it's, Indy didn't necessarily have a chance in overtime. They could have played better defense, but overall, I like that game. Another 3 o'clock game I got to catch the end of, which was the most exciting part, was that Arizona-Detroit game, which was a crazy finish. I don't know if you got to see that, but wow, Detroit should have won that game. The last timeout that was called, like Darrell Bevell suggested that Matt Patricia was like, sure, like that game would have been sealed had that timeout not been called, but it was. And then the game ends in a tie. So Sunday night was, holy shit, a romping. And I don't want to take all the highlights, so I mean those were the big 3 that stick out to me. Feel free to fill in any gaps.
No, I watched Nikita and I watched the Chargers Colts game because in our league where we co-own a team, we have Keenan Allen, and then she was paying attention because she had some other players going and she was playing against some of the players in there. So, but no, you like the Chargers, and I think that all the time that we spend together got me liking the Chargers more so. It's just Phillip Rivers and his trash talking. But it was also just kind of, it was a good game overall. Granted, it ended with Austin Eckler doing what he did all game, scoring touchdowns, getting points. Mm-hmm. I think that the performance by Eckler and even Justin Jackson, who didn't touch the ball very much, but when he did okay.
He's effective.
Yeah, it was a nice little, not necessarily change of pace because they both kind of played the same from what I saw. But it was definitely a nice, that threw him off a little bit on defense. Kind of hurt Melvin Gordon's stock as far as negotiating with the Chargers, but I think we already knew that wasn't going to work.
Right.
And so overall, that was a fun game to watch. I know the Patriots stomped the Steelers.
Yeah.
That upset Nikita.
Big league.
I got pretty excited because that Josh Gordon touchdown was pretty solid.
Josh Gordon looked nice. I'll give it to you.
I don't know if I'm not going to say he went, full out Josh Gordon. He only got 4 targets. He had 3 catches. One of them was a big gain for a first down. The other one was that touchdown where he broke a tackle, maintained balance, and then juked a guy and scored. That was impressive. That would have been impressive for any wide receiver to do.
Right.
Granted, he's the same size as Gronk, so he's a big boy. But then Monday, I didn't watch a whole lot of the Monday Night Football. I did watch the first half of the Saints game. And that was, a fun game. And then I guess it ended quite well. Will Lutz got me some points.
I don't know what your dog
She's
is
digging
doing.
at the steps. She thinks that she can go up the steps by digging underneath them.
Well, that's a genius strat by your dog. So yeah, I didn't catch much Monday Night Football. I think I caught like quarter 3 of the Raiders Broncos game because I had plans on Monday night, so I was out. But I did catch a little bit of John Gruden, and John Gruden was, being John Gruden, and they won the game. I mean, I'm not going to say Denver's a good team. I'm not going to say that's a notable win for them, but divisional matchup, week 1, starting off right. Hopefully that can get them some morale and some momentum because, I've mentioned this a lot last year. I'm certainly cheering for John Gruden. I enjoy that man. I would definitely enjoy seeing him successful. So I'm cheering for John Gruden.
I definitely, with how he handled the AB situation and everything that he had to deal with that, his respect meter went up on me. I give him a little bit more respect. And then Josh Jacobs is, I read a little bit more on his story, and that's a good story, going from living in his car to being the leading rusher in week 1 or one of the leading rushers in week 1. So that's a pretty cool story there. I'm going to go feed Kaya because she only does this when she's hungry. So
really,
I'll be back.
How convenient. All right, well, I'm going to write down the segment start time then for the week 2 preview. And the only other thing I'll say while I'm writing this down is that I didn't realize how fucking short Josh Jacobs was. I saw him like standing next to a couple other football players on the field. Like, holy shit, Josh Jacobs is short. But so week 2 preview, obviously we got the Vikings and they're playing the Pack and it's in Lambeau. So anyone who lives in this area, which is just about anyone who listens to this podcast, minus maybe Zach Wells or Mr. Latvia himself, this is going to be quote unquote the real test for both teams. Arguably, the Packers did not play a very good offensive team with the Chicago Bears, so we don't know if their defense is the real deal. We don't know that the Vikings offense being able to run all over everybody is the real deal because the Atlanta Falcons do not have a very great defense. The Packers offense did face a pretty good pretty good Bears defense, so I can't say that the Vikings are equal to the Bears defense in talent. That's probably not the case. Maybe the coaching's a little bit better that Vic Fangio's gone, but it should be a similar matchup for Rodgers. I think Rodgers has traditionally struggled against Zimmer defenses. Not that I don't think he's ever beaten us, but I think it's rarer for Rodgers to beat a Zimmer team. And I was mainly stalling for Josh to get back, but he's back now. But, to hit all the cliches, this is the test. We'll see. I think, I don't want to say whoever wins this game wins the North, but it certainly seems like after week 1, and if we're just, overreacting to everything, that the clear-cut 2 top teams would be us at this point, Vikings, Packers.
I mean, Detroit.
They tied.
Yeah, they didn't lose.
They should have.
Bears are last in the division. Makes me happy.
That's 100% true.
No, I agree. I was actually just going to ask, do you think that winner of this game takes a division? And then you said that. I don't think it's, it's not necessarily set in stone because injuries happen, apparently.
Are you sure?
Yeah, once in a while. I do agree with your take. Rodgers does struggle against Zimmer defenses, but that's Rodgers in the McCarthy system. So who knows how this goes? There's a little bit more. They made a point in the Bears game where they put a player in motion and then they brought him back because they wanted to see what coverage they were in, if it was man or zone. That's something that McCarthy never did. He was like when you're playing Madden, he did coach's suggestions and then just mashed A every single time and then hiked it and hoped for the best.
So how I play Madden.
Yeah, that's how I play. That's why I lost my game today. But anyways, I think that could, if they do more pre-motion stuff, get the ball out a little bit more up-tempo, quick passing, that sort of thing, it could go either way. It just depends on, does the defense that played the Rams for the Vikings show up, or does the defense that most people see them as show up? And I'm talking about the Rams because Anthony Barr got burned for a bajillion yards.
I mean, that doesn't mean the Vikings defense are bad. That means Zimmer essentially got out-schemed a lot because Barr shouldn't have been covering whoever he was covering on most of those plays. Cooper Kupp or Todd Gurley, I think. I mean, I guess the linebacker on Gurley makes sense, but... Yeah, I mean,
it just depends. And Lambeau Field, home field advantage, I know it's a 2.5, 3-point game, whatever right now, so basically even. And so I think that it's going to either be God, I hope it's not a freaking tie again. I do think that it's going to be a closer game. And as long as it's a good game and the Packers win, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both agree that as long as I don't even want to say entertaining because that's a more selfish take that I want the game to be entertaining. But if it's a good football game and it's close till the end, I think we'll both be satisfied with the results either way. Obviously, I prefer the Vikings win. You prefer the Packers win. And we'll just see what happens.
Can you guys bring back Corey Vedvik for just this game?
No, well, I'd much rather have Dan Bailey miss one or two than bring that guy anywhere near. He got cut by the Jets, okay?
I know. I saw that.
Brutal.
I saw that. He'll be kicking in the XFL in 2 years.
He's not good enough for the XFL, Josh.
Am I good enough to kick in the XFL?
Nah, Kareem Hunt is, though. That ouch was in the mic, but I'll appreciate it. You also have the bullet here, other notable games. I mean, I'm always excited for the Chargers game. The Chargers play Detroit. We can see how bad of a romping New England puts on Miami. They're currently favored by 19.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And it's also weird because the weird thing about the New England-Miami rivalry is when it's in Miami, Miami beats them. So I guess no one thinks that's going to be the case this year. That curse or tradition or whatever you want to call it's going to be broken.
Well, there's a stat. Oh, I guess that never mind. Doesn't make sense. Go on.
I was just going to say, I'm surprised Pittsburgh is favored by 4 over Seattle. I mean, I understand
What?
the game's in Pittsburgh, but yeah, Pittsburgh's currently favored. So if you want to change your upset to Seattle over Pittsburgh, go for it.
No, I'm happy with it, and that just requires too much typing.
New Orleans Rams, that's an NFC Championship rematch, so that should be good.
That one should be exciting. Honestly, at this point, it's week 2, so every game's exciting to me. I just want to watch football.
Right. It's about week 8, week 9, where you're like, all right, let's get the playoffs going.
It's like, week 10, let's throw some snipers out there to make them a little bit more interesting. But no, I agree. I'll watch whatever's on TV. I hope the Packers game comes in Minnesota here. But
they play the Vikings, so
I know. That's always my biggest complaint about being a Packers fan is that when the Vikings are on, they don't have any other games on, so I have to watch the Vikings.
Imagine fucking that.
Yeah, but no, it should be good. It's a noon game, so then that just leaves me to either drink myself to sleep the rest of the day or to drink myself in celebration the rest of the day.
Team has a bunch of losers in Minnesota.
Yes, we are. But no, I'm excited to watch games, and so that little tidbit on Miami and New England brings us into our next segment, locks and upsets.
I'm going to say one more thing. I'm just if there's one other game I'm interested in, I want to see if Cleveland can beat the Jets. Because if not, those dream team speculations, they're done. That's just a team full of hotheads.
Yeah, and then maybe if they lose, Odell can check his watch to see what time it is. And
what fucking timeline are we living in right now, dude?
Right.
What a fucking weird NFL. All right, locks and upsets. 32-25 is what we're going to put that segment start time at. So we got our first week of locks and upsets in the book. And I'm honestly, I want to say we've done this for a long time because we've done it for 1 year. And the NFL on Fox pre-show changed their game. They don't do locks and upsets anymore, which is bullshit. So we will carry on the legacy of locks and upsets. But I was genuinely shocked at how many people got their upset pick right last week. I mean, there wasn't a lot of diversity. There was plenty of overlap on people picking the same game. But out of the 14 participants we have, 11 people got the full 3 points for the week. And the other 3 who don't have all 3 points, they missed their upset pick and they only have 1 point. So everyone hit their lock and only 3 people missed the upset. I thought that was crazy.
Yep, I saw that. I was impressed. This week it looks like we're still waiting on some people to send theirs in, which is fine because they have until Sunday at 11.
That is correct.
But some of the ones, Nikita and I, we have the same lock. Eric's and Jalen have the same lock. Sorry, Eric's. But I think that was actually the other lock that I had in mind. Upset-wise, Walters and Nikita have the same idea, so sorry, Nikita. And yeah, there's a little bit more diversity in upsets so far this week. You have Indy over Tennessee, which I think is a good one.
Yeah, that ties into my hot take from the beginning of the show. I liked what I saw from Indy on the field, and Tennessee obviously put a romping on the Browns. I don't think that's going to be the case for Tennessee all year, so I'm thinking Indy fights back. Divisional game. Traditionally, Indy has Tennessee's number, so we'll see. But
Jalen has Seattle at Pitt. I think that's a good one. I have Atlanta at Philly just because I wanted to be a little different. Kaya, stop digging at the stairs.
She only does that when she's hungry. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I don't think she ate. She's waiting.
Why don't you bring her dish down here?
She won't follow.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's locks and upsets.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do that, so I'm going to put in just someone else's. So Aaron, no one knows Aaron, and Aaron's not going to listen to this, but Aaron has his lock as Dallas over Washington, so that's something. And then he tried to have his upset as Seattle over Pittsburgh, but to the one rule I instituted of just not reusing the same teams week in back-to-back weeks, I'm making him pick a different upset because he picked Seattle to win.
You done messed up, Ron.
That's technically true. So yeah, I mean, my lock is Houston over Jacksonville. I don't know if you mentioned that or not, but he's taken Minnesota over Green Bay as his upset. What a shock!
Is that allowed?
All right. So yeah, we'll see. So not much to talk about the leaderboard in locks and upsets right now. There's 11 people in first with 3 points, and then Kyle, Brad, and Eric's, aka Mr. Latvia, are tied for 12th with 1 point. So that's that.
It's fantasy fun time.
Josh, what time is fantasy fun time in terms of how long we've been recording? If you had to guess,
6:40 p.m.
I hate you. Did that same fucking joke last year.
Well, shh. We're actually on pace to set records and get like awards of some kind because we've more than tripled our listeners from what I understand. We went from Eric's to Eric's, Carmel, and Titan. That's triple our listening ship.
It's just not going to count in your wife or Walters or Jamie.
I still don't believe she actually listens.
Jamie or your wife?
My wife. I'm just kidding. She listens. She talked to me about it. So yeah, I guess, it just doesn't work that way then. So shh.
Kyle's an on again, off again listener as well. So yeah, it's fantasy fun time. Like Josh said, it was actually fantasy fun time a minute ago when we first talked about it, because that's the segment start time I wrote down. So, keeping with the tradition of generalistic fantasy and now fantasy fun time, we start our fantasy advice segment with the grain of salt. And the grain of salt's actually going to be pretty sweet this week, if I can say that. Grain of salt for me, I'm in 8 fantasy leagues. I went 6-2. I felt pretty good about that. I didn't have a lot of those weeks last year. Last year was I won't say uncharacteristically, but last year was not a good fantasy year for me. I'm starting off hot this year. I like it. I have a little spreadsheet going. I have spent $430 on my different fantasy leagues this year. I did not get a single dollar in winnings from any of my leagues last year, except for maybe technically we won something in BSB, but I think it just stayed in the league, or I don't know. Maybe we got $10 out of BSB. I don't remember. But so yeah, I'm hoping to come away either neutral or with some money in the black this year. But we'll see. 6-2.
For my grain of salt, I went 4-1 last week, and the one that I lost was in a I don't know what they're officially called. It's like a
free-for-all?
Free-for-all. There we go.
King of the Hill?
King of the Hill, free-for-all, whatever. I lost handedly.
Top of the crop?
Tyreek Hill got hurt, which doesn't help. It's also a league that Walters said he's afraid of my team. He thinks that I have a scary good team, so guaranteed to finish last now.
Guaranteed.
But otherwise, I won all my other leagues. I'm only in 5 leagues this year instead of the 7 or 8 that I was in last year. So sorry, Eric's miss BSB a little bit here and there. But no, I won. I'm still keeping track of my versus the entire league thing. So in Victoria's Secret, I would have gone 3 for 8 if it was head to head. One of my other leagues, my family league with my wife, is 7-2. So we had a pretty high score. Doorknob. In my one dynasty league with Coon Rapids, 7-4. In the Hidden Oaks dynasty, I went 7-2. In the Hidden Oaks redraft league, I would have gone 2-11 against the board.
Yikes!
But I still got the win because I played the lowest score of the week. So thank you, Nate.
Oh, you played Nate?
Yeah, thank you, Nate. I played Nate in dynasty. You want to repeat that? Please do.
Who the fuck is my mom?
Hey, Dusty.
All right. So yeah, that's a lovely grain of salt, Josh. You had a higher winning percentage than I did this week. Nice.
I'm in less leagues, so yeah. If I was in one more, I would have lost that one, so we would have tied. That's not how numbers work. So top performers of the week. Wide receiver. Now, Garlic, preseason, if I would have said the top 3 performers of the first week of the season, Sammy Watkins, Deshaun Jackson, and John Ross.
I would have told you to go fuck yourself.
How many pots would you have tried to buy off me?
All of the pots.
Yep.
And 3 of the pans.
Sammy Watkins with 46.8, Deshaun Jackson 35.4, and John Ross with 34.8. I think all 3 of them had touchdowns of more than 50 yards.
By the way, I don't know what this link is that you put in the doc, but this link
I didn't put that link there.
That link is trash. So if that's my old link from last year, it doesn't work.
Oh, it probably is because I copied and pasted, yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Running backs, Christian McCaffrey, 42.9. Austin Eckler, 39.4. Derrick Henry, 28.9. Probably not somebody you expect to see up there with other guys in the league drafted way ahead of him.
I will take one of Sostin's takes there that 14 of Derrick Henry's points came off like one play. So without that, maybe give him 20 yards on that play, he would have had like 14, 16 points. But still pretty good if you had him in your lineup.
Yep. Quarterback-wise, Lamar, 33.6, Dak 33.4, and Stafford 27.6. Lamar and Dak probably drafted, but I'm guessing Stafford was sitting on the waivers for a lot of leagues. I don't think he keeps up that production, but who knows? Dak and Lamar, who knows? Lamar's kind of a question mark at this point just because he's only had, 7, 8 starts now. And Dak is up and down, but he was playing the Giants, so my guess is he doesn't put up 33.4 again. Tight ends, Ingram, 28.6, Hawkinson, 25.1, Mark Andrews, 24.8.
Jaboy.
And so I put an exclamation point next to Hawkinson because seeing a rookie tight end put up numbers like that, pretty impressive. Stafford seemed to look his way a lot. I think it's because they look alike. And so,
is that what it is? You cracked the code.
Any other performances that you were surprised by?
No, I mean, obviously you got to give all the credit in the world to Harrison Butker, number 1 kicker, 17 points. I mean, come on.
I guess.
But no, I mean, obviously you nailed all the leaders.
100% of the people that put Harrison Butker in their lineup got 17 points if they were playing the same scoring that got him 17 points.
I'm changing your hot take. I'm going to record this one instead of that other one. This is your hot take of the week. Okay,
good. Yeah, I guess Darren Waller did good.
Hell yeah, I did, dude.
And one of the things that I wanted to bring up here in kind of I don't know where to put it though, so I'll just talk about it now. I'm sorry if you guys are sick of my voice. I'm sick of my voice. He was on the field for every offensive snap, I believe, for the Raiders. Mm-hmm. I think he put up like 22 points in PPR. Mark Andrews was only on the field for like 30 to 40%. So it's obvious when Mark Andrews is on the field, he's going to be in a passing situation. So,
it appears so.
Because there's 3 tight ends and he's not good at blocking, whereas Waller seems to be kind of all around good at everything. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys do because they're both second-year players, I believe. So let's see how the rest of the season unfolds. Studs and duds.
Josh, that might be the
sorry, I got distracted.
To a mini segment of all time. Studs and duds. All right, Josh, before we even get into it, I have a slight bone to pick with you. I don't understand your coloring on the stud dud scorecard. Can you explain it to me?
Wait, what?
On tab 2B.
I did not put those colors in there. I was going to actually have a bone to pick with you on it. I was like, why is it reversed?
I was like, it makes no sense. I'm in first place. I should be red.
Well, red, really good. Green, gross.
That's how I see it.
There we
Except purple, good. Yeah, sorry. So I took us off track there, but I have been waiting to talk about that all day, and I want to do it first on the pod. Anyways, studs and duds. Josh has talked for a while, so I'll start. I had Vance McDonald as my stud. Turned out, nope, 9.6 was still too high for that fuck. Dude got 6 points in full PPR for a difference of negative 3.6 for me. However, Tyreek Hill, I don't want to say I got lucky that the guy got injured because that's rude to him as a person, but Tyreek Hill got injured. He was projected 17.3. Actually only got 4.1, so that was a difference of positive 13.2 for me. And overall, I had a positive 9.6 on my score differential for my first week of studs and duds.
I had Kerryon Johnson. One of my notes was we're really good at stud picks so far.
Incredible.
Yep. I had Kerryon Johnson, who was projected 15. Turns out everything that I read on Reddit, shocking, was a lie. That
What?
the Arizona defense was just going to let him run right by. He only put up 8.2 for a negative 6.8 net. My stud, though, Nick Chubb, he was
You mean your dud?
My dud, yeah. He was projected 17.6. He ended up getting 11.5, so that's a positive 6.1. I finished with negative 0.7. Good for second.
Yeehaw! I will say the only other thing to say about Kerryon is on Reddit, it appears like the consensus doesn't seem to think that C.J. Anderson would do anything, which that narrative make no sense to me. But C.J. Anderson got the rock plenty, which
Yes, he
obviously
did.
didn't help your cause as well. So we'll move on to Mr. Latvia, aka Eric Kesteris. He had Devonta Freeman as a stud, which
Yikes.
that man was foolish. He was projected 14 points in full PPR. He only got a 4.1 bomber against that Vikings D for a stout negative 9.9 for Mr. Latvia. James White was his dud. He was projected 13.7. He got 13.2, so technically a dud. Only a 0.5 positive differential for that man there. So an overall performance of negative 9.4 for Eric's, which is good for 4th of 5.
My lovely wife, Nikita. So I'm going to go ahead and give Nikita just major props because when we go through and we do studs and duds, everybody here I'm guessing that everybody here kind of looks at the projections, goes by that, says, yeah, that guy is projected 10 points. It's PPR. If he catches the ball 5 times, gets 50 yards, he's there already.
That's what I
Nikita
do.
just tosses out names that she knows, people that she likes for studs, and then people that she doesn't necessarily like or don't think they're going to do well for duds without looking at projections. She had Juju as her stud, who's projected 18.1, who had 13.8 actually for negative 4.3. Granted, he did get hurt. I don't know if he went back in after the injury. And they were just down already by so much that why play him if he was. But then her dud, Aaron Rodgers, 16. Bears defense is solid. He only got 12.9, so she did net 3.1 there, and her overall is negative 1.2. And so I give her props because her duds or her studs are actual studs in starting lineups. So good job, wife. Love you.
See, I will give props to Nikita as well, and just to mention her finish, she finished middle of the pack, third of 5. But see, Nikita's smart because she's not using her brain, she's not using statistics or facts, she's not even using her heart. Okay, she's using her gut. We call that truthiness here on the pod. Thank you, Stephen Colbert. Finally, probably shouldn't even give this man airtime after what a poor performance he had week 1 with his studs and duds picks, but. Of course, we're talking about our dear friend, land of 10,000 failures, Ryan Walters. Aaron Jones was his stud pick. This man's a homer. I don't know why he would pick Aaron Jones to go off against the Vikings or against
because
the
he knows
Chicago's
whatever
defense.
he says, the opposite happens when it comes to football.
Well, I guess. So Aaron Jones, 12 points projected, 4.9 in reality. That's a negative 7.1. David Johnson was his stud. Projected 19. Excuse me, that is correct. David Johnson was his dud. 19.4 was the projected. 25.7 was the actual. So that's another negative 6.3. Overall, Walters had negative 13.4 in his first showing. Good for dead last, week 1. Brutal.
Yay!
Moving on to, we'll just briefly mention our week 2s here so we can kind of get back on track because we're at the 50-minute mark. My stud for week 2 is Hollywood Brown, who's only projected 7.9 for some fucking reason. And then Big Ben's my dud. He's projected 18.8. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, no, I have Mark Ingram, projected 13.4. Jameis Winston's my dud, projected 18.1. Jameis couldn't throw a ball at those, bottles at a fair. I'm dumb.
Got him.
I quit.
Eric Kesteris, Michael Gallup as the stud. He liked what he saw out of the Dallas receiver last week. And Aaron Jones against the Vikings D as the dud. Apparently he learned his lesson from last week.
Yeah. Nikita, her stud, and this is just going back to what I'd said earlier. Her stud, Lamar Jackson, projected 19.6. Truthiness. Antonio Brown is her dud, projected 15.3. But I will say, if we find out he's not playing before Sunday, I'm going to make her switch it. So
See? I appreciate you having the same take. I know you didn't like it when I didn't let you count Dalvin Cook last year, but I agree. She should have a new dud pick.
Yep. And gone.
I mean, you can say it. I don't care.
Walters has Devin Singletary as his stud, projected 10.9, and his dud is David Johnson, 17.8. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have David Johnson, put him in your lineups. And if you have Devin Singletary, take him out.
That's probably not the first official double down on studs and duds, but it is for this year. We have our first official double down. David Johnson 2 weeks in a row. We'll see how dumb Walters really is.
35 fantasy points.
Hot damn. All right, that's you have the last part you have here is bold predictions. Fantasy related would be the last part of our fantasy fun time. Josh, you want to hit us with some bold fantasy predictions for week 2?
Yeah. Gardner Minshew, America's hero. Quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The
mustache and all, otherwise known as Fu Minshew.
Fu Minshew
is going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this week. Mark it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know not all of you have been listening. I feel good. Perfect timing. I know not all of you are in mine and Garlics and Teas group text messaging, but I will tell you this. Gardner Minshew is a folk legend, and he will go for 400 yards passing with 4 touchdowns.
Willie?
Maybe not this week, but combined for the next 3 weeks, maybe.
At some point in the future ever.
Yep.
He's got a chance.
My second one, Christian McCaffrey hits 100 rush and 100 receiving yards for 3 total touchdowns.
Nice. I didn't really have one prepared, so just pulling one out of my rear. I'll go with, I'll go with Kirk Cousins, has 300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, no picks. 79% completion percentage against the Packers' stout defense.
All right, so when you turn your Xbox off at noon to watch the game, what's actually going to happen?
85% completion percentage, Josh. Do I need to go higher?
I just threw up in my butt.
You threw up? We call that diarrhea, Josh.
Redraft week 1 results. Write down segment start time.
Yeah.
6:56 p.m.
51-55.
Side bet winner, Brad.
Gross. Can we stop the side bets now?
Sammy Watkins got him 40-something points. So, yeah, I'd hope he'd get it. He had 159 total.
All right. So I assume we want to go over the matchups. Isn't that the whole point of...
No, I didn't do the whole matchups thing.
Oh, I know. I was pulling up the matchups on ESPN.
Oh, well, I just wrote down the closest games and the biggest blowout. And I beat Nate by 6 and Nikita beats Willie by 7.9. Those were the 2 closest matchups. Biggest blowout was Brad beating Garrett by 69. Giggity, 0.3. Not giggity.
Giggity, 0.3. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if you mentioned it, I got romped by Jamie, 156 to 116. That was brutal. She had CMC and Mahomes, so I don't know if I ever had a chance. Robin, newest member of the league, she got her first win over T. Get fucked, nerd. Derek, the 2-time champ, he got stomped by Stills Trying, a.k.a. Jesse.
That's embarrassing.
Nikita won, like you said. Josh won somehow with the 3rd highest score of the week. Brian, the man we all gave shit to for his team, the man who lost Andrew Luck, the man who is probably going to lose Antonio Brown, he beats Hammer 156 to 115. Brian Knupp, the same guy I just mentioned that we had shit on a lot, had the highest score week 1. That's fucking incredible to me.
How did he have the highest score if Brad won the side bet for highest score?
Well, okay, you got 2nd highest score.
There we go.
We're not going to give Brad credit for anything, are we, Josh?
No, that's true.
And you should know better. DeAndre Hopkins got him 31.1. Deshaun Watson got him 30.7. T.Y. Hilton got him 28.7. The 0 RB strat somehow worked, or at least for week 1.
For week 1, yeah, it's a small sample size.
Right, and then, yeah, Brad, highest score against Garrett, who just fucking rolled over and got 89.7. Brutal.
Yep. And so I have the final standings projection since we went over it last week.
Hey.
We have T currently being projected to be last place, as he should, because his team is embarrassing.
Nerd.
Boy, this sucks. The Walking Tacos, 13th. Jesse, 12th.
Isn't it the worst thing of all time?
Yes. Garrett, 11th. Robin, 10th. Josh, 9th. God. Nate, 8th. Robin, 7th. Wait, what?
You just said Robin twice.
Oh, yep. Sorry. 10th is Brian. Robin, 7th. God, this thing
You're looking
sucks.
for the dark circle.
Yep. Gar, 6th.
Woo! Outrank Josh.
We'll see. Le'Veon, I don't know who that is. 5th. She turned 4th. I don't know who that is. We have too many people in this league.
How do you not know who the people
Nikita
in
with
your
the
league?
biggest jump from 12th to 3rd.
And that's from draft day, right? Draft day was 12th.
Yep. So never mind. And actually, and it wasn't the biggest jump. Nikita's 3rd.
By the way, Willie is the Le'Veon team.
Okay. Nate's 2nd, despite just losing and having the week slow.
Wait, have you said Brad's name yet? Are you telling me Brad's fucking first? I don't remember hearing Brad's name.
No, Brad's 8th.
Oh, who's first?
Jamie.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes and CMC, she could easily ride that out for the whole season and win.
Yeah,
just
she
with
can
those
bench
two
the rest
players.
of her team, especially when she plays me.
It's fucking incredible. All right, so if we're gonna do a briefer result section, I think we should do a little bit more in depth on the matchups, just to give our rough feelings. So I don't know if you want to pull up the week 2 matchups and just kind of give our quick takes on them. We're starting this at 56:05, so I can put a cap on it and say we'll do no more than 14 minutes. I mean, that's a minute a matchup. I think that's fair. Let me know when you're ready to go,
I'm
my
ready.
friend. Ooh, all right. So we got me playing Derek. So I'm currently projected 118 to Derek's 95.7. My projected leaders are Zeke, Josh Jacobs, and Garoppolo. And so I guess I don't know how I feel about that just off the top. Garoppolo, probably not the best quarterback, but I don't know if there's anyone decent enough on waivers for me to pick up right now. Oh, and an ad's going to play. That's super sick. But so we'll see. And I'm going to have to wait for this ad to go away. I've got another 8 seconds. I don't know if you can list off some of Derek's top players or not while I wait for this ad to go away. But
Derek's got Tom Brady, who has a plethora of weapons at wide receiver. Odell Beckham Jr., who had a solid connection with Baker Mayfield. And then Tyreek Hill, who's projected 0.
there we go. And so I'm back now. So there's on ESPN, it shows a win probability, which is a new little feature this year. I currently have a 60% win probability, so that's cool. Of course, the most favorable matchup I think of this whole thing is Tom Brady playing Miami. Hopefully that dude should be able to just light him up like Lamar Jackson did. David Montgomery at Denver could be a great matchup. TJ Hawkinson's looking hot for Derek against the Chargers. I don't like Tyreek Cohen in his flex. I don't think he was utilized well. But looking at his bench, I guess he has John Ross on his bench. This band should put John Ross in his flex before we play.
Well, he has to put John Ross in for Tyreek Hill.
Oh, does he? Ooh. All right. Well, if Tyreek Cohen's your flex and my flex is Larry Fitzgerald, I like my chances. But John Brown is also one of my starting receivers, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, who do you got, me or Derek?
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess I'm going to go you, just because I like the Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott. I think the only players that are going to actually, and George Kittle, I think the only people that are going to hold you down are Jimmy G and John Brown. I think that those two, and then Larry Fitzgerald too, because not any knock on Larry, but I think that the Baltimore defense is good. Kyler's going to have his first away game. Were they away last week?
They were not. They were at home.
So first away game, new environment, strong defense. So that could be detrimental to Larry's production as well. But I think Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott, and Kittle can potentially carry you, assuming TJ Hawkinson doesn't put up 28 points again.
That would be nice. All right, so for the next matchup I have here, and sorry, Josh, I'm just going to force you to go in my order. We have Big League playing Sherlock Mahomes.
That's what I'm on.
So that's T versus Jamie. Josh, I'll let you get the first takes here.
Yeah, no, T's top players, Austin Eckler, Adam Thielen. Those are the top projections. Tyrell Williams, who had a solid outing last week as well. I think that those three are probably going to be his three top. James White potentially is going to jump up as well just because they'll be running the ball more. Tom Brady can't throw the ball more than 25 yards. And then Jared Goff, I think they're going to get in a shootout with New Orleans. So I think his teams are going to be solid, but he's going up against Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Julian Edelman, who's Tom Brady's butt buddy, DJ Moore, Delaney Walker, who had a really good outing, Sterling Shepard. So T wins his second loss of the season.
He wins this. Yeah, I'll have to agree with that take. I'm surprised to see ESPN only give Jamie a 56% win probability currently. Maybe they think too highly of some of T's players, but she's currently projected to win by 16 points. So I see some inconsistency there with you, ESPN. But yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and make the call now that Jamie, barring an injury, is going to be in the ship. Who she faces, I have no idea, but Jamie will be in the ship. You heard it here first, folks. Next, we have Girls Rule Robin versus Team Mitchell. So that's Robin v. Nikita. Currently, Nikita is projected to romp Robin. She will be rockin' Robin, if you will, 119.4 to 102.3. Nikita's got Carson Wentz, David Johnson, Justin Jackson. That's kind of a brutal starter, but could be okay. Keenan Allen, PPR whore. Travis Kelce and Calvin Ridley would be rounding out her team. Robin's got Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, Derrick Henry, Juju, Alshon, Vance McDonald, and she's going to have to take Juice out of her flex, so she might have more points here. Let's look at her bench real quick. I don't really like her bench. Maybe she puts Noah Fant in the flex.
We had talked about her team preseason after the draft and said that if anybody on her team gets hurt, she's in trouble because her bench was not good, but her starting lineup was one of the best that we saw.
Right.
Were you done with your takes?
No, I mean, I was just reading her team. I think I'll give Nikita the win.
Okay, yeah, no, and I think Nikita has Justin Jackson in there because she had Lamar Miller, right. Obviously tore his ACL. Mm-hmm. I told her about Justin Jackson when she's like, "Who's this guy?" And then she picked him up. But yeah, David Johnson, Carson Wentz, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce. I think that I'll give Nikita the win on this one. She had a really good outing last week. Keenan Allen at Detroit, he should just tear them up. Calvin Ridley at Philly. Yeah, so I think that she has a pretty solid team. And even her bench is solid. She's got Kalen Ballage, who has potential to be the starter in Miami if Kenyon Drake keeps struggling. James Washington, who you were high on, I was high on as well. Dak Prescott as a backup quarterback for if Wentz gets hurt. Jimmy G had a decent outing. He was the only touchdown on Thursday. And then Chase Edmonds as the handcuff to David Johnson. So for the shallow bench, she has a decent bench. I'm going to go ahead and say Nikita's going to make it to the playoffs. I'd have to see as far as injuries go if I think that she's going to be champion or not. But who knows? She could get lucky if Justin Jackson takes over, if Eckler gets hurt or anything like that.
Safety again. All right, so next, Josh, I'll let you go first, but we've got T versus U. This is what the matchup I got.
T? I'm playing...
Jesse, excuse me.
I'm playing Jesse. Yeah, it's going to be a close matchup, too.
Allegedly.
My highest projections, Nick Chubb, Kerryon Johnson, Devontae Adams, Phillip Rivers, Sony Michel. I think that Jesse's got Julio, Stefan, Damian, and Rodgers. I think that Rodgers is not going to hit that 17 points. Damian didn't do much last week, if I remember correctly. Never mind, he had a touchdown.
Damian did, good last week. He had 18, I think.
Yep. Julio had that garbage time touchdown. They're playing Philly, so he'll probably hit that. I think it's going to be close. I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep Cooper Kupp in or Sony Michel. I think that I might take out one of them and put in Sutton, but I haven't necessarily decided yet. I think it's going to be a close game. I think I'm going to be involved in for the second week in a row, I'm going to be involved in the closest matchup.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give your team the higher floor. I think Jesse's team has the higher ceiling. Just for the higher floor following statistics, I'm going to give you the win, but it could go either way.
I agree with your take, young sir.
Hooray. All right, so now we have Le'Veon La Vida Loca versus the Skybusters. That's Willie versus Brian. So Willie's got Willie's got Russell Wilson, Le'Veon Bell, Dalvin Cook, Kenny Golladay, Josh Gordon, Austin Hooper, Aaron Jones. The Pats D against Miami. That's going to be a good deciding factor here. And then Robbie Gould. Brian's got Deshaun Watson, Matt Breida, Royce Freeman, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Gallup, Evan Ingram, T.Y. Hilton, the Eagles D, and Mason Crosby currently in a starting lineup. Obviously, this could change by Sunday, but Willie is projected to win 117.3 to Brian's 105.1. He's got a win probability of 55% right now. I really like Dalvin this year. Le'Veon, one of the two running backs on the field for every single snap. They're playing Cleveland, which could be a trash team. Tennessee just romped him, so Le'Veon might get crazy points here. Josh Gordon did look good. Josh Gordon's points certainly swing heavily whether or not Antonio Brown is on that field. And as I mentioned before, the Patriots defense is going to be making a big difference for Willie, I think. And Brian, Matt Breida and Royce Freeman as his starting running backs is brutal. But Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Evan Ingram and T.Y. Hilton is going to be great. So I'm giving it to Brian, I think, in an upset.
I would not be surprised if you took Royce Freeman out since they're playing Chicago and that defense that just absolutely shut down Aaron Jones. I'm going to go ahead and say that Aaron Jones is better than Royce Freeman. And I think he's going to put in Malcolm Brown because Malcolm Brown vultured a couple touchdowns. I would say that would be the smart move, despite the lower projection. I think Willie's going to take it just because I don't think Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins are going to carry him to victory again like last week.
Yeah, we'll see. Literally, as it left my mouth, I was like, ugh, I should not have taken Brian. I'll stick with it just for the entertainment factor, but using my brain and not my gut, I'd have to pick Willie, but I already said Brian. So, Brian, don't fucking let me down. Next, Josh, you got Nate versus Brad.
Well, Nate's currently projected to win by 8. Math is hard. He's 121.2 to Brad's 113.4. He has Lamar Jackson against Arizona, projected 20. Saquon versus Buffalo, projected 23. Then he's got Ertz and Mixon. Mixon's questionable, but I think he's going to play. Even if he doesn't play, he's in his flex, so he has some options there. Brad has Fournette, Carson, Michael Thomas, Sammy Watkins, and then Drew Brees. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Nate because I think, like I said in my hot take in the beginning of the pod, I think Baltimore is just going to stomp Arizona. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to have another great outing. Saquon is going to have a great outing. Ertz is going to have a great outing. And I think Joe Mixon is going to hit that 16, maybe.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to have to disagree. Only with the winner, I'm going to have to take Bradley as the winner, only because Brad does this weird fucking thing every year where he starts out hot and then falters towards playoff time. So I'm giving the win to Brad just based on history. I think Breeze, Chris Carson, Michael Thomas, Sammy Watkins could really. Those are certainly going to be over. I'm going to say that's going to be 75% of Brad's points is those 4 players I just listed. So if they have a great week, Bradley will boom as well and get the dub. So final matchup, we have She Turned Me Into a. I can't even read the full thing. She turned.
Newton.
Is it just Newton? It ends there. That's kind of boring.
Yeah, I don't get it.
All right, so She Turned Me Into a Newton versus Mac and Cheese, probably the 2 worst team names in the league if I had to say so. And my team name is Brian Got Fucked. So Andrew versus Garrett. Andrew is currently projected to win 121 to 111. He's got a win probability of 55%. Andrew's rocking Cam Newton, Alvin Kamara, Duke Johnson, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Darren Waller, my boy, Deshaun Jackson, and the Ravens D with Willets. And then Garrett's rocking Baker, James Conner, Marlon Mack, Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Hunter Henry. He's going to have to fix that. So maybe he's probably going to get more projected points there, so it might be closer than currently projected.
He still has projections.
Oh, does he?
Projected points on my screen, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, my screen doesn't show any projections, so I was just assuming. Marvin Jones, the Chargers D, and Adam Vinatieri. To me, I got to pick Hammer in this one, and it's not even close, and that's going to be the end of my story.
I agree.
Get fucked, Garrett. There we go.
Yeah, no, I think that Hammer has a better team here. Duke Johnson looks solid out there. Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. Cam Newton. I think he's going to turn it around against Tampa Bay. Darren Waller had a solid outing. Deshaun Jackson had a solid outing. Baltimore defense is going to stomp Arizona. And then, I think, his backup tight end right now is Greg Olsen. So, I think or Garrett's backup tight end is Greg Olsen. Sorry. I think, Hammer's going to take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I just had one more thought as you were talking, is that I understand Garrett's team. Like, on paper, when Garrett drafted his team, it looked good. Baker Mayfield, James Conner, Marlon Mack, Mike Evans, Robert Woods. But after week 1 of the NFL, this team does not look like it's going to carry him very far. So things could change, but for now, it looks like Garrett's just going to have one of those last seasons that's just too unfortunate. But it's going to be true, I think.
I would say my favorite player on his team is Robert Woods.
Yeah, I'd go Marlon Mack after week 1, but I guess
Mack
the
looks
Robert
solid.
Woods thing.
Marlon Mack and Robert Woods are, Robert Woods is probably my favorite on his team just because of production, but Marlon Mack is definitely up there just because last week he had a really solid outing without Andrew Luck there.
Right. All right, so that's going to end the week 2 predictions. I kind of like that, having a brief week 1 results and then a more in-depth on the matchups that week, so I think we should continue that.
Yeah.
We are going to go into the outro here. We're starting this at 1:10:25. Jesus.
Jiminy crickets.
Definitely one of the longer pods. We'll see. Maybe we cut some things next week or just talk faster.
Yeah. We also spent a lot of time on the AB thing and a lot of just nonsense talking. But,
right. We'll see.
For Redraft League, look at these TDs, most offensive touchdown.
Oh, that's the side bet.
That is a side bet for this week.
Beautiful.
So most offensive touchdowns, not defensive.
Anything you want to say to the people, Josh? Final words?
Thanks for listening, Nikita. Everyone else, you suck.
All right. I think that's good enough. Facebook.com/hoodpod. HiddenOaksOverdose@gmail.com. Love you. Bye. How the dogs doing, Josh? You got a wood bar on your door, by the way. Excuse me? I'm shitting here, boy. I'm gonna need to wipe. Oh, Josh, we did it. What we did, I can't say for certain, but we sure did.